low-income, and working families are not tolerating the Chicago Housing Authority's plans to drug test all tenants of public housing as a contingency for continual occupancy there. Nor are they sitting quietly by, as the CHA also plans to remove the innocent tenant defense provision in their current lease under the federal government's one-strike policy, which protects a leaseholder from eviction, whereby in court they can raise their defense saying they were innocent and did not know or had no reason to know of any alleged criminal activity of a guest or family member. The angry tenants and their advocates claim that drug testing the young and old public housing tenants would be unconstitutional and discriminatory, as well as a violation of the U.S. Constitution's Fourth Amendment, protecting citizens from unreasonable search and seizure. Here's what happened at the press conference held by the members of the Kenwood Oakland Community Organization, who protested in front of the CHA downtown headquarters on June 1st, 2011.
Okay, good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Shannon Bennett. I'm the lead organizer with the Kenwood Oakland Community Organization. And we stand here today in strong opposition with residents from the Chicago Housing Authority and other allies opposing the proposed drug testing policy and other policies that we feel are discriminatory and target and profile low-income and working families.
That's right. That's right.
We feel that this policy discriminates against CHA residents and violates the civil rights of people living in affordable housing. We stand here today as allies and supporters with residents from various developments, from Cabrini, formerly Cabrini Green, from Oakwood Shores, Lake Park Place, and throughout the city, who oppose this policy and demand that the Chicago Housing Authority vote not to pass this plan and eliminate this plan. Today we will have several speakers, several residents who will express their opposition to these policies and the negative impact on residents. And we feel that this will not only impact residents who are currently in Chicago Housing Authority, but our communities at large.
This policy is not only intrusive, but it conflicts with the Fourth Amendment Constitution to be free from unreasonable search and seizures without probable cause. This policy is just another way of stereotyping a group of people based on economic status. In addition to the humiliation, CHA is contemplating abolishing the innocent tenant defense, which will hold me responsible for the actions, violent actions, or drug activity of my resident, my guests, or my family members. I fear that this unlawful injunction is just the beginning of more injustices to come for low and mixed income housing residents. As residents and supporters, we urge the Chicago Housing Authority to cease and desist with this unconstitutional, discriminatory plan. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Mission.
Stop the war on the poor. Stop the war on the poor. Stop the war on the poor. Stop the war on the poor.
Thank you. Thank you. Our next speaker will be Ms. Bishop, who is a resident at Oakwood Shores. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Kiana Bishop. I have been a resident of Oakwood Shores community for 2 years. I stand here today not as a CHA resident, but as a resident who decided to live in a mixed income community. I also feel that the drug testing without suspicion is humiliating. I think it's unfair, unjust, rude, crude, and impersonal. However, I myself have been taking a drug test willingly to live in the Oakwood Shores community, because at that time I felt like it didn't affect me because I'm not going against the system, and protecting my safety as well as the public safety was a tremendous deal for me. But protecting people's rights not to be treated as a criminal is what I have an issue with. And doing this blanket policy is singling out a humiliation for what this whole plan was to stand for, and that was transformation. Lastly, I urge HUD to intervene and stop the Chicago Housing Authority to eliminate this unconstitutional plan. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Bishop. All right. Our next speaker will be Minnie Jefferson from the Vivian Harsh Senior Housing.
Hello, my name is Minnie Jefferson, and I'm a senior at the Vivian Harsh Apartments. In preparation for retirement of over 30 years as an educator, I sought to identify a location that had a fixed income, but that my rent would be at a fixed income. I sought out CHA because they had consistent rules, regulations, and an established, reasonable leasing standard. After working for the Department of Defense and other federal agencies, I have an understanding of contracts and agreements, and they should be clearly outline expectation and consequences. Our CHA leasing agreement states obligations around drugs use in Section 8 of the lease, and their consequences in Section 16 of that agreement. There is no mention of residence drug testing, and drug testing will not enhance the agreement, but will serve to discriminate and eliminate certain people in housing. Rules cannot fluctuate at the whim of agencies and administration. This proposal is not only a violation of my Fourth Amendment rights, but insulting to me as a senior and a resident of CHA. Right. We urge CHA not to vote to pass this policy. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker will be Ms. Cheryl Johnson from the Argyle Apartments and the Executive Director of Peoples for Community Recovery. Cheryl Johnson.
Good afternoon. My name is Cheryl Johnson. I'm with Argyle Gardens, and I'm the Executive Director of People for Community Recovery. I'm here to voice my opinion to oppose these two policies that CHA had put upon us. I think it's unfair and it's unjust for them to single us out in public housing, because I want to impose the question to the decision makers who's making this policy. What if they feel, if I go to their mortgage company and ask their mortgage to rescind on their mortgage because of someone failed to drug test, or someone has created had a criminal activity in their community? Would that be fair to them? How would they feel? I think that they don't have the compassion, because if they had the compassion, they will be allowed to put themselves in our positions and find out how we feel as human beings. I am a human being. I am a taxpayer in the city of Chicago and in the United States. But to single me out for those two policies is unfair and unjust. So I just hope that they have the capacity to really look at it, because they're not too far from what the position that I am in. Right. This is affordable housing for me at this particular time, and I enjoy living in the community that I live in. But to impose these policies, and the people that tend to make these policies are the very first ones to break it. Yep. So I want to inject that CHA, if they want to institute these type of policy, then it got to start from the top up all the way down to the bottom. I'd like to see the commissioners and all the administrators of CHA, they take these type of tests and let them see how it feels and how it's just to be a citizen of the United States of America. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Johnson. Our next speaker is Mr. Robert Davison from the Latham Homes, and he's also the president of the local advisory council at Latham Homes. Thank you.
Good evening. Today, I've been very silent about this transformation of public housing. But today, I come out because I think that CHA is going to step beyond reproach. That is, this innocent tenant defense, this drug testing on our senior citizens. I question where is the goals of CHA with this. I question what is that thinking. I really, in my mind, I think it's unconstitutional. And I think that the new mayor of the city of Chicago could have a sit down with CAC and get an understanding about the pain and suffering that this transformation has brought upon the residents of this city.
That's right.
This is just ridiculous. Once again, it is very important that CHA reconsider their thoughts and their thinking about this type of tactics that they're putting on these people. This is ridiculous. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Davison. We have one other speaker, but before that speaker comes up, we would just like to reiterate a few points. One of the things that we are very clear on is that these are proposed policies that CHA will eventually vote on. We were under the impression, we've been working, when I say we, members of the Kenwood Oakland Community Organization, Lake Park Place in particular, and other developments, that HUD approval was necessary to implement this policy. We were told that it would not be implemented until it was approved by HUD. So that's one of the reasons why we are very clear that HUD has a responsibility to, one, respect tenants' rights and respect their dignity when they are not in favor of a policy that will be not only intrusive, but will discriminate against a particular population. So I want to reiterate those points. And secondly, we have a lot of people from developments that are here today, but there are more that will be coming out to the forum tomorrow where the hearing will take place. So we are clear that this policy, they're trying to move forward with it, and it will be detrimental, and it will also target a particular segment of our population, we feel, to eliminate them from public housing.
Okay, I got to prepare a statement. When I first came to Cabrini Green in 1972, there were 23,000 people living there, and we were surrounded by industrial parks. There was full occupancy, full employment, and an equitable lease.
Yes, sir.
In the decades that followed, industry and jobs left, unemployment rose, occupancy dropped, and the lease had things added to it that took away our rights. Today, what few jobs are left are disappearing, and the CHA uses an oppressive 29-page lease to evict public residents as if it were an assembly line of homelessness. While most people go to court with the presumption of innocent until proven guilty, we, as public housing residents, go to court guilty until proven innocent. The second paragraph of Section 16, entitled Termination of the Lease, Part F, reads as follows. The CHA will not be required to prove that the resident knew or should have known that the authorized member of the household, guest, or any other person under the resident's control was engaged in the prohibited activity. However, the resident may raise as a defense that the resident did not know nor should have known of said criminal activity. The resident must prove such defense by predominance of the evidence, unquote. The CHA now wants to remove the last two sentences of Part F, referred to as the innocent residence clause, thus taking us from guilty until proven innocent to just plain guilty with no chance of innocence. What masquerades as some sort of beneficial change or transformation is actually more resembling of a sophisticated Jim Crow or apartheid. This lease, either with or without the proposed changes, is unconstitutional, undemocratic, and must not be allowed to stand. They've literally done the same thing to us right here, right now, right? The same companies that are getting paid to do these drug tests only on us, right? Only on us. Those same companies turn around and take that money and they can give it to Mayor Daley when he runs for office, as part of his campaign fund, or Manuel, or whoever's going to run. Nobody's looking at that. It's all about the money behind this thing. We had jobs in Cabrini Green. You could quit a job one day and go to the next job the next day. Is it our fault that now, because of the industry and technology, that there's no jobs for us anymore? Is that our fault? No. But we the people are still here, and their answer to it is to criminalize us. It's to criminalize us. They're flooding our community with drugs. In the best of all possible worlds, when you have go around a neighborhood and try to help people who are strung out on drugs and get the drug dealer out of the neighborhood, no, they're doing the exact opposite. I literally have had cases where I've gone to court with people where a guy got arrested, lived across the street, gave the lady's address, across the street. He's on that lease over there. But CHA wants to evict this person over here because he gave her address, and CHA knows where this guy lives. They're using the drug thing and the criminalization in order to get us out. But there's one problem. The economy is in such bad shape, nobody's buying them condoms. And by the way, who's to say, just like they're foreclosing on everybody right now, we got massive foreclosures, when are they going to start foreclosing on these condo owners? And by the way, what do they own? They don't have a deed. The bank owns that condo. So what they've done is they've been able to tell people they own stuff they don't own. They're telling people they're free in a land where we ain't free. And like I just said a second ago, we've gone from innocent until proven guilty to guilty until proven innocent, and now guilty with no chance of innocence. That's unconstitutional. It's time we start approaching it from that level.
What we're going to do? Go ahead.
One question about the policy. The draft policy seems to say that you would be able to stay in housing if you're willing to enter a treatment program.
Now, is there any resident who's willing to speak to that? Because one of the things, go ahead, let's speak to it real quick.
Real quick, the CHA offers a program that offers drug treatment.
Can I get your name, sir?
Willie J.R. Fleming.
Willie J.R. Fleming. Okay.
And that program is known as CARES. But this program is not offered pre-eviction. Once a resident is charged with an offense, they immediately go into a legal process. And then they do not qualify for this program. So what is the purpose of this program? It's not going to help residents before they enter the legal process. So a lot of information gets misconstrued about the drug treatment. It's not offered to a resident who are in legal. Once you hit legal, the CHA cannot offer you any program. So the program is basically obsolete to the residents who's in dire need of it. What we said was offer the program after a resident entered legal, put them on a probationary period, and then we're really trying to really help poor people in low-income housing. We also say that this program should be offered to people who have a condo. That's a subsidized unit. Exactly. If you're going to offer drug testing to people in public housing, offer it to people who receive any type of federal subsidy. That's first-time homeowners. That's people with college loans. That's people who apply for a tax credit. Developers. Everybody. Don't discriminate. Don't marginalize. Offer it to everybody. So if you're going to,
the feds subsidize all sorts of housing.
That's right. And so we should be drug testing everybody who receive any type of federal subsidy,
if you're going to
be it labor, education, or housing. Don't discriminate against us and don't pick on the poor. Is what we're saying.